Good evening and welcome to Armageddon Live, Episode 4, Daniel 2 and 7, Parallels, Part 1, on this 3rd of April, 2020. I'm your host, Daniel Decrypted. So let me get myself out of the way and we can dive into this study. Alright, there we go. So recall the chiasm of Daniel 2 through 7. Recall that Daniel 2 and 7 parallel one another theme-wise. Might they parallel one another in other ways? Let's examine the imagery of Daniel 2 and Daniel 7. That is the prophetic imagery. So in Daniel 2 we have 4 metals. You'll recall if you've actually looked at the chapter and read it through. There's a gold head, silver arms and breasts, brass, what's it called? Waist anyway. Then there's iron legs. While for Daniel 7, we have 4 beasts. There's the lion with eagle's wings. Then there's the bear. Then there's the leopard with 4 heads and 4 wings of a bird. And finally we have the 4th nondescript beast. Notice that the gold is the king's metal. While the lion is the king of beasts. Furthermore, the eagle is the king of birds. Also notice that the 4th section of the statue is iron legs, while the 4th beast has iron teeth. So why am I taking so much time to show all of these parallels? I mean, is there a point to this? Well, I'm doing this because if you're not truly convinced of the parallel nature of Daniel 2 and 7, some of the following information that I'm about to give might be hard to accept. And I want to make it as easy for you as is possible. So that's why I'm trying to make sure that you recognize that there is a parallel here. Remember, come now and let us reason together, saith the Lord. Isaiah 1:18. So I want you to see that everything I bring out in prophecy is reasonable and logical. Alright, so returning back to our discussion of the parallels in Daniel 2 and 7. These 4 beasts, these 4 metals are 4 kingdoms. Be sure to tune in tomorrow as I will be given a quick overview of the text of both Daniel 2 and 7 that show why we know this to be the case. I mean, Daniel 2 and 7 make it clear in the text that there is 4 kingdoms. And I just want to quickly go over that text and show you how Daniel's vision and his interpretation tie together to reveal that fact. Alright, so about these 4 kingdoms, notice that the first kingdom is the royal kingdom, hence gold, the king's metal, and lion, king of beasts, and eagle, king of birds. Also notice that the fourth kingdom is the iron kingdom, hence iron legs and iron teeth. So, up until now, both visions of Daniel 2 and 7 have only consisted of one type of thing. For Daniel, that is metals, and for Daniel 2, that is metals, and for Daniel 7, that is beasts. But things change in the fourth kingdom, and opposing and contrasting types are introduced. In the text of Daniel 2, it's made clear that there are 2 phases to the fourth kingdom. Oh, actually I missed something too. Yes, our 4 metals and our 4 beasts, they're actually state, right? They're earthly kingdoms. That's made clear in Daniel. I mean, we'll see that later. Right now we're just showing the parallels. We're not going to try and do the show the history in it. That will come later. But in Daniel 2 and Daniel 7, it's made clear that these are earthly kingdoms. And of course from history, right? So both the metals and the beasts represent state. But getting back to our divided phase, our fourth kingdom. So there's a united phase, and then once again Daniel 2 makes this clear, that the fourth kingdom consists of a united phase and a divided phase. Now in Daniel 7, the divided phase is symbolized by 10 horns, while in Daniel 2, that divided phase is symbolized by the feet, which have 10 toes. So once again, the parallel of 10 and 10. And it's within this divided phase that a new type is introduced into the 2 visions. As I said before, it's an opposing and contrasting type that's introduced into each of the visions. For Daniel 2, the opposing and contrasting type is non-metals, right? Contrasting with metals. And for Daniel 7, the contrasting opposing type is humans, as opposed to beasts. Daniel 2 introduces 2 non-metals. The first in the divided phase of the fourth kingdom, clay. And the second in the fifth kingdom that follows the fourth, that of mountain or stone. Now in the case of Daniel 7, 2 humans or human-like are introduced. The first in the divided phase of the fourth kingdom. In the little horn, there's man's there's the eyes of a man and a mouth speaking. Two things that are clearly human, are human. Notice, of course, from this that then the divided phases of both Daniel 2 and 7 consist of a mixing of these opposing and contrasting types. The feet consist of iron, a metal, mixed with clay, a non-metal, while the little horn of Daniel 7 consists of horn, beast, combined with a man's eyes and a mouth speaking, human. In Daniel 7, our second aspect, our second human-like thing, is Ancient of Days and Son of Man. So that pretty much completes the parallelism that exists between Daniel 2 and Daniel 7. I hope everything is very clear. Once again, I'd like to emphasize that then our two visions consist of opposing and contrasting types. Daniel 2 consists of metals and non-metals, while Daniel 7 consists of beasts and human. Also, we have the contrast in these two different types are contrasting in the sense that, or they exist there because metals and beasts represent the state, earthly kingdom, while, perhaps this is hard to see at this point, but non-metals and human actually represent the church, or God's people, or God's kingdom. Now, how can we be sure that this is the case? Well, look at the fifth kingdom. The fifth kingdom consists of no metal and no beasts. It's only non-metal and human. And we know from the imagery used in the fifth kingdom, in describing the fifth kingdom, that the little stone is cut out of the mountain without hands. It's a supernatural act, or a supernatural occurrence. And clearly the judgment scene that you see in Daniel 7, where the Son of Man comes to the Ancient of Days, this is something that's not occurring on earth. It's something that occurs in heaven. So it has no earthly aspect to it at all. But this church, God's people, the non-metals and humans, how can we be sure that it's really that? How can we be sure that the clay and the eyes and mouth are really the church? To be continued. That's why there's a part 2. So in the next episode, we're going to explain why we know that this is all the case. This is the case, I should say. I mean, how do we know that the non-metals and the human represent the church, represent God's kingdom? So I hope you will tune in tomorrow to see that. I guess this episode has been rather short. Yeah, it's probably been about 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes. Anyway, I hope this is it makes it easier for you to watch it numerous times since it's so short. And once again, I hope that everything I've explained, everything I've shown to you is clear. I hope it's all clear. And I look forward to spending time with you tomorrow. And I hope I didn't trip over my words too much, because sometimes I don't really want to be reading a script, because then it sounds very mechanical. And sometimes I forget something in my presentation. But my prayer is that it was all very clear. And if you have any questions about anything that I've explained or anything I've shown, please do comment, ask questions, make comments, for whatever is on your mind. Just say it. Once again, I say God bless and good night, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.